What's up YouTube, Dow here from Zephyr War Games, and today, as requested, I am bringing you a pure-ish Red Eyes Black Dragon. Now what I mean by pure-ish, before we get too far, it does not include Dragon Link, it is not about Dragon Link, it is all about Red Eyes Black Dragon. Simple as that. With all that out of the way, please smash that like button, hit that notification bell, and subscribe so you do not miss out on any more upcoming content from the channel. If you do and are liking this new way of presenting profiles to yourselves, again, by please smashing that like button, it shows the appreciation and I will keep doing it this way for you. But let's get into today's profile of Red Eyes Black Dragon. So for the monsters, as it is a Red Eyes deck, we are playing triple Red Eyes Black Dragon, double Red Eyes Alternative, triple Black Metal Dragon, double Blackstone of Legend, one Red Eyes Darkness Metal, one Malefic Red Eyes, one Red Eyes Retro, one Red Eyes Black Flare, one Meteor Dragon Red Eyes of Impact, one Chaos Dragon Levianeer, and then one Black Dragon Collapse Serpent, one White Dragon Wyvern Buster, and of course Dark Magician. For the spells, we have triple Red Eyes Insight, double Red Eyes Fusion, single Magical Eyes Fusion, double Return of the Dragon Lords, triple Allure of Darkness, triple Chaos Space, one Pot of Equivocativeness, one Boot Sector Launch, one for one, one Called by the Grave, one Monster Reborn, and finally for the traps we've got one Return of the Red Eyes and one Red Eyes Fang with Chain. For the extra deck we have two Red Eyes Flare Metal Dragons, one number 76 Harmonizer, one number 11 Big Eye, one Borrowload Furious Dragon, one Meteor Black Comet Dragon, one Red Eyes Dark Dragoon, one Blackluster Soldier, Soldier of Chaos, one Nightmare Unicorn, one Predaplant Verti Anaconda, one Hieratic Seal of Heavenly Spheres, one Relinquish Anima, one Unduct the World Chalice Dragon, one Link Rebo, and finally one Striker Dragon. Okay, so now to discuss the cards in depth. It is a Red Eyes Black Dragon deck, so we do play triple Red Eyes Black Dragon. Not much more really needs to be said about this when I'm building Blue Eyes, when I'm building Red Eyes, even when I'm building Dark Magician, you kind of want the core card of the deck to be at 3. It is a Red Eyes deck. In this particular build, you do want to get Red Eyes to the graveyard, you want to be able to recycle him and loop him around with the Black Flare Metal, and you also want to be able to use the Vanilla, the level 7 and the Dark to utilise all the other cards within your deck to get you where you need to go, and use it as a utility where best possible. We do play double Red Eyes Alternative. Now the reason we're only playing 2 is it can get a little bit cloggy, and there are other ways of searching this within the deck. Keep in mind it is a dark monster that cannot be normal summoned or set, which is really important for later on when we're going to be able to use cards such as Chaos Space to search it out, which makes it just that little bit more beautiful as well. So for those of you that don't know what Red Eyes Alternative Black Dragon does, it allows you to, can't be normal summoned or set, must first be special summoned from the hand by tributing one Red Eyes monster from your hand or field. Red Eyes monster, which is very important, which it means, unlike Dark Magician where it says specifically search Dark Magician or trigger Dark Magician, because it says Red Eyes monster, it does mean that you can trigger it off the back of Red Eyes Black Dragon. It also means you can trigger it off the back of Red Eyes Darkness Metal, Red Eyes Black Flare, Malefic Red Eyes, and Red Eyes Retro Dragons. You've got loads of targets to trigger to get this guy on board, which alongside a Red Eyes gives you instant access to a rank 7 play. Once per turn, this way is the only way you can do it, so you can't summon multiples of it, which is a bit of a downside. If this card is destroyed by battle, or if this card in its owner's possession is destroyed by an opponent's card effect, you can type one level 7 or lower Red Eyes monster in your graveyard, accept itself, and special summon it. And if it was Red Eyes Black Dragon specifically that special summoned, its original attack becomes double. Now keep in mind, just because this card says Red Eyes B Dragon, it still counts as Red Eyes Black Dragon. This is the card they're referring to, which means when you bring back Red Eyes Black Dragon, it is a 4800 beta, which is really nice. The only downside behind the alternative is it means that the only way you're going to resolve this is to crash alternative into your opponent's monster, because they're not going to want to destroy it. They're smarter than that, and they're not going to try and destroy it by card effect. They are going to try and bounce it, which is the biggest downside of cards like this. And as I've got further and further into the game, you kind of go, well, that's really, really annoying. But it is part of the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! We've then got triple black metal dragon. So you can target one Red Eyes monster you control, equip this monster from your hand or field to that target. It gains 600 attack, and if this card is sent specifically from the field to the graveyard, you get to add one Red Eyes card from your deck to your hand. So you can search out Red Eyes Alternative, Red Eyes Black Dragon, Red Eyes Retro, Red Eyes Darkness Metal, Red Eyes Flare, Malefic Red Eyes. The list goes on and on and on. Red Eyes Insight, Red Eyes Fusion, you name it, you can search it as long as it has Red Eyes in its name. Which is why this guy is played at 3. Whether you want him to be your normal summon, keeping in mind that we only technically have 3 cards, Black Metal Dragon, Blackstone the Legend, and Red Eyes Retro Dragon that are our only normal summon monsters without a tribute. This is usually one of the first ones you want to do. Normal summon it, link it off, get a Red Eyes card, which is either going to be your Red Eyes Insight to lead you into the fusion. But in this particular deck, what you want to try and do is, because we've stayed well away from Dragon Link, it is a pure Red Eyes deck. The outcome is always about Red Eyes. You want to try and get 2 monsters on the board to go for Spheres, or you want to be able to go for Verte to then get you your Meteor Comet Dragon, or of course you want to go for Dragoon. The one other thing that I've tried to avoid on this is literally just Red Eyes Fusion Turbo, where it's Red Eyes Fusion, Dragoon, set 4 or set 3, pass. I've tried to avoid that as well. I've tried to make it a bit more interactive, a bit more balanced going first and second, and this card helps you do that massively. Speaking of the other normal summons of the deck, we've got 2 Blackstone of Legend and the 1 Red Eyes Retro. Now, the reason we only play in 2 Blackstone of Legend is because our better normal summon is going to be Black Metal Dragon. Blackstone of Legend is a recurrable card as well, so you contribute this card to special summon 1 level 7 or lower Red Eyes monsters from your deck, except Red Eyes B Chick. If this card is in the graveyard, you can target 1 level 7 or lower Red Eyes monster in your graveyard, accept itself, and shuffle it into the deck. And if you do, you get to add this card back to your hand. You can only use each effect once per turn, but the idea is this helps you turbo out Red Eyes. It also helps you recycle your Red Eyes from the graveyard, and that's one very important thing with this type of deck that we want to try and balance. Maintaining our banish zone, maintaining our graveyard, and just overall maintaining our resources. We've then got Red Eyes Retro Dragon. If a level 7 or lower Red Eyes monster or monsters you control except Red Eyes B Chick is destroyed by an opponent's attack or card effect and sent to your graveyard, you can special summon this card from your hand in defense position. And if you do, you get to special summon as many of those destroyed monsters as possible in the same positions they were when they were destroyed. You contribute this card. You can normal summon 1 Red Eyes monster during your main phase's turn, except Red Eyes B Chick, in addition to your normal summon or set. Only gain this effect once per turn. Now, obviously, what makes Retro Dragon so good is it technically counts as a battle hand trap. So, unlike Alternative, where they know what happens if they destroy it, a lot of people don't actually play Retro Dragon. So, unless you specifically search this out and your opponent remembers that you have it in hand, when your opponent destroys one of, whether it be your Red Eyes, your Blackstone of Legend, or of course your Red Eyes Alternative, rather than triggering Alternative's effect then and there, you can bring back the Alternative, bring down the Retro, and then they destroy it, Alternative again. Alternative then brings back a Red Eyes Black Dragon at 4800. What that means is technically if they don't have any more attacks, they can't get past the Red Eyes Black Dragon, they can't get past the Retro Dragon, and then during your next turn you have the ability to extend and grow higher, plus you're sitting on a 4800 Red Eyes Black Dragon beta. Then for the other one-offs, of course, we've got the 1 Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon. If this came in foil, this would definitely be here, but sadly it didn't. 1 Red Eyes Black Flare and 1 Malefic Red Eyes. Now, Malefic Red Eyes is actually really important in this deck because you can consistently make him, and if you wanted to, you can actually count him as free cards. Because what he does is he allows you to banish a Red Eyes specifically from your deck, which is great because you're already putting resource from your deck out of the deck thinning, put it into the banish zone. Now, it's not a hard once per turn to special summon this card, but you can only control one face-up Malefic monster on the field. The other downside is if there is no face-up field spell card on the field, you destroy this card. Now, the reason this becomes so consistent is because through any of your lower level dragons you go into Striker Dragon, that straight away gets you a Boot Sector launch. So by activating Boot Sector launch, you then have the ability to constantly activate Malefic Red Eyes Black Dragon. So what you could do if you wanted to put 2 more copies in, is you could then just go, right, banish a Red Eyes from deck, summon out a Malefic. Then use the Malefic plus the Striker Dragon and go into Spheres. If you then had another Red Eyes Malefic, banish another Red Eyes, special summon it down, and then again you can go into another link. So you can either link climb higher, or if you have the ability of bringing back a Red Eyes, you then have a rank 7 play as well. The other thing about this is, again, the card cannot be normal summoned or set, so can be searched off of your Chaos Space. I will need to double check because I'm pretty sure it might need to be level 8 or higher. If that is the case, then you can't search it, but I'm pretty sure it's just any... Yeah, so you get to add with a level between 4 and 8. So you get to add Malefic Red Eyes if you wanted to off of Chaos Space. One thing to keep in mind that by banishing so many Red Eyes consistently, you're not going to have them in the grave, or you're not going to have them in a deck for your other plays. So what that does allow you to do is it does allow you to play the Pot of Acquisitiveness, which you've seen in the list at the start of the video. So what you kind of want to then do is you'd probably bump that up, bump up the consistency, because you're going to be consistently banishing cards off of Chaos Space, off of the monsters you summon or get from Chaos Space, off of your Malefic Red Eyes, and then of course if you play Magical Eyes Fusion or anything like that, you want to be able to maintain that banish zone, put it all back into the deck to then go again. The Red Eyes Black Flare Dragon is really kind of nice because it's treated as a normal monster while face up on the field or in the graveyard. Now if you do put this in the graveyard, which is one of your first Foolish Burial kind of targets, you then bring it back with Return of the Dragon Lords, and because, like I said, our normal summons within the deck are only going to be Retro Dragon, Blackstone the Legend, and Black Metal Dragon. Technically, if you haven't used your normal summon, because this is a Gemini monster, what you can do is you can bring it back with Blackstone of Return of the Dragon Lords, and then normal summon it to gain its effect. Now, for those of you that don't know what a Gemini monster is, it is basically that. They are technically a vanilla monster in hand, not treated as a vanilla in hand, but they're a monster without an effect. But they have an effect that if they are normal summoned again, they gain the effects. Now, it's very difficult to try and explain, but the idea behind a Gemini monster is you can't just go normal summon and then in the same turn normal summon it again. It's a very, very slow mechanic that Konami introduced way back when, and the idea is you need to get it onto the board, it survives a turn, and then you basically normal summon it again without having to use its tributes, because it's part of its effect, to gain its additional effect. In this scenario, if damage calculation is performed involving this card, at the end of the battle phase you can inflict damage to your opponent equal to this card's original attack. So it basically allows you to burn your opponent for 2400. Now, it's only going to be used as a vanilla monster in the graveyard. It's very rare you're going to resolve the Gemini effect, but it is very good at doing that. It's very consistent to be able to do that, and the additional effect is very, very nice once it does resolve. I hope I've kind of explained Gemini's in a basic understanding of it, in order to give it its additional effects, and you understand that. If not, there are videos online that specifically explain more in depth for Gemini, but in this particular build, the only reason we're using this is another vanilla monster to send to the graveyard, technically, and then it's also counted as a Red Eyes monster, so if we're able to bring it back and then gain its effect, it's just basically making Red Eyes an effect monster, which is really nice. Red Eyes Darkness Metal, yes, it's a writer, is now hard once per turn, not the end of the world, still incredibly easily searchable in this deck, still the ability to banish, to summon, and then get back another dragon, gives you instant link to access. It also allows you to constantly extend on your board. I'm not too sure if this card was at free, would I play it at free? I'm not sure. I think in this particular build, because it's so easy to now get a field spell, Malefic Red Eyes is actually a better dragon for you to end up rank 7 climbing, or just link climbing in general. And then we move on to the one also, actually I'll do the Chaos Engine first. So for the Chaos Engine, we've gone with 1 Chaos Legionnaire, 1 Black Collapse, and 1 White Wyvern. Now these two are pretty much staple in any kind of mini Chaos Engine you want to do. The only kind of juxtaposition of this particular deck is we don't have a lot of lights. So we actually only have 1, to be fair. So the only light target you're going to be banishing to get your Black Collapse is going to be the White Wyvern. Now, 9 times out of 10, the idea behind the Chaos Space is you're Foolish Burying from your hand a dark monster, which could be a vanilla Red Eyes, it could be anything really. You put it into the graveyard, you get your White Wyvern. White Wyvern then banishes it to summon itself down. It can then go into Striker Dragon, that can then get you the field spell. That will then obviously get you Black Collapse. You can then, of course, banish the White Wyvern to get the Black Collapse down. With Chaos Space, you can banish it to put White Wyvern back into the deck. And then you have the ability to link climb into the spheres. And that will then put Black Collapse to trigger and search you out the White Wyvern, meaning you've got the free extension for the next turn. For the boss monsters of the Chaos Monster, we went with Chaos Dragon Levianeer because it has the ability to banish either all lights, all darks, or a mixture. And because we're not playing a huge light count, being able to just banish all darks and then rip one from our opponent's hand is incredibly important and powerful. But on top of that, even if you don't use the effect, it's just a nice 3k beater that, again, by banishing the cards with stuff like Chaos Space and Pot of Acquisitiveness, you can spin it all back into the deck and go again, which is very, very important, very playable. Another card you could consider is Chaos Valkyrie, and that gives you another route to go. But the reason we're playing these is just for free extenders on the board to help you get to your Link monsters to then a rank 7 play, just to help you grow your consistency and give you a bit more of a fighting edge. Sadly enough, Red Eyes is a very, very slow deck. Red Eyes Fusion is its greatest card, but also its weakest card. If the Red Eyes Fusion said something along the lines of, during a turn you activate this card, you cannot normal summon or set except Red Eyes monsters, that would then make it a little bit easier for the deck, because then what that would allow you to do is that then allows you to put your fusion monster on board. It then allows you to normal summon your Blackstone the Legend, get you a Red Eyes on the board, then make an alternative, overlay the alternative, make a Red Eyes Metal Flare alongside your fusion monster, which at the end of the day isn't bad. But what I've tried to avoid with this deck is either going down the Dragon Link route, because then it's just 10, as someone said, 10 Red Eyes cards plus 30 Dragon Link cards. And I've tried to avoid going down the route of, okay, cool, all I'm going to do is go Red Eyes Fusion, sit on my Dragoon, set free, pass, and then next turn try and play again. The final card is Dark Magician. Because of all the fusion monsters throughout the Red Eyes deck, your Dark Dragoon is the strongest. Like, you'd be foolish if you have it to not play it. So being able to play just the one Brit is acceptable. If you're like, right, I'm 100% not playing Dragoon, then you would swap this out for a Summon Skull, and you'd actually go for the Archfiend Red Eyes monster, because that has a nice little bit of burn damage as well, and a bit of a nice power play. But it's not as interactive with your opponent, it's not as aggressive, and the thing is, when you've got a card as powerful as Dragoon that can swing the game straight away or really put it in your favour, like I said, it'd be foolish not to play it if you have it. That's it for the monster lineup. Moving on to the spell lineup. So just as a quick note on the monsters as well, we do play the one Meteor Dragon Red Eyes Impact, purely because you need to, as it is a specific level 6 dragon. So you can play any level 6 dragon, but this is needed for your Meteor Dragon. It also gives you that ability that if you do get the chance to bring it back through Monster Reborn or something like that, you can then trigger its Gemini effect, and then all other Red Eyes monsters you control can't be destroyed by battle or card effect. So less so that you're going to be using it there. It is one of those sad bricks that you do have to use to be able to resolve your Meteor Black Comet Dragon. We do play, of course, triple Red Eyes Insight. Now, this card is pretty much a Foolish Burial for the deck and a Searcher all in one go. So the fact it says send one Red Eyes monster from your hand or deck, like, why would you ever want to send from your hand? I'll never know. To the graveyard, and then you get to add one Red Eyes spell or trap from your deck to your hand. So straight away, this lets you search out your Red Eyes Fusion. You're probably not going to want to search it out and then activate it, but you do have the ability to do that. If you're not going for your Red Eyes Fusion, of course, you do have the ability to go to Return of the Red Eyes and Red Eyes Fang with Chain, just to give you a bit of interruption and a bit of revival. The fact that it allows you to Foolish Burial allows you to put a Red Eyes in the graveyard, but you basically get to put a Red Eyes monster. So that means you can easily put the alternative in the graveyard. You can also put in your Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon in the graveyard. You can even put the Malefic in the graveyard if you have a way of getting it back to your hand. On top of that, you also have the ability of putting the Red Eyes Black Flare Dragon in the graveyard, which in my example that I was explaining to you earlier, if you open up with a Return of the Dragon Lords, you can instantly activate the Return of the Dragon Lords, bring back that Red Eyes Flare, and then normal summon that Red Eyes Flare through its Gemini effect to give it the burn effect. So if you're going second and you're going aggressive, you then have the ability to just go, okay, fine, attack and burn my opponent for an additional 24 damage. So it does give you a lot to kind of play around with, a lot of utility and a lot of alternative routes to kind of keep in mind when you're going, that you don't have to go. Obviously the strongest is to go Red Eyes Fusion pass. But if you want to spice it up, if you're playing with your friends and you're like, you know what, we're going to play character decks and I'm going to build Joey, This is probably the best way of doing it, in my opinion, just because it gives you a little bit more utility. It makes it more kind of themed along Joey's, because this is something more that I could see Joey actually doing. But yeah, if you're like, oh, I want to take Red Eyes to my locals or something like that, you can still do it this way, but obviously the Dragon Link one will be far superior. Moving on to the fusion spells, of course, we do play double Red Eyes Fusion and one Magical Eyes Fusion. So the first Red Eyes Fusion, you kind of want to make it go from Verte, because that allows you to still build up the rest of your board, still allows you to, like I explained, go into rank 7 plays, go through Striker Dragon, go through Malefic Red Eyes, so on and so forth. The second one can then be used to be searched out directly off of your Insight, can then be used to make your Meteor Dragon, can then be used to, of course, make your Dragoon. Now, another thing to keep in mind as well, which is why we play the Magical Eyes Fusion, is from our 3 fusion targets in the deck of Dragoon, Black Comet Dragon, and PUREISH Dragon, Borderline PUREISH Dragon, Magical Eyes Fusion can actually make all of these very, very easily. So if you were to go Verte, send Red Eyes Fusion, send the materials to the graveyard, and then get a Magical Eyes Fusion the next turn, you can activate the Magical Eyes Fusion and then make yourself a Meteor Black Comet Dragon, or make yourself a Borderline PUREISH Dragon, just to give you another additional edge to that board. So this is the reason why we've got the mixture of the two. The only way you're getting this is if you're going to Verte it or you're going to add it. But there are, of course, other ways of being able to discard the Red Eyes, not the Red Eyes, sorry, the Dark Magician from your hand. Keep in mind we're also playing a Lore, so you've got very easy targets on that. And that pretty much allows you to have the ability of utilising Red Eyes Fusion, utilising your extra deck as best as you possibly can. Then for the revival cards, we've got 2 Return of the Dragon Lords, and 1 Monster Reborn. Now the reason we've got it like this is because the way I see it is Return of Dragon Lords is amazing, because Return of the Dragon Lords can bring back any level 7 or 8 dragon monster from your graveyard, which means it does have the ability to bring back a Borderline PUREISH Dragon and a Meteor Black Comet Dragon should you want to. But what it can't do, that Monster Reborn can do, is Monster Reborn can bring back any monster in the entire game. Link Monster, XYZ, anything like that, even bring back your Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon. Which is why I've gone with a 2 and 1, because once you've got the Return of the Dragon Lords in the graveyard, what makes it so good is it protects all of your dragon monsters from destruction. And a lot of people actually forget what this card does because it hasn't seen a lot of play recently, that they'll just go and try and swing something, destroy something, you go, alright fine, banish, protect, and they're like, ah, okay, that actually changes my plans going forward quite a lot. Obviously, Monster Reborn doesn't provide that, but the Monster Reborn gives you a bit more consistency of playing around it. You could play something like Silver's Cry, but again, keep in mind, Silver's Cry is very specific because it only lets you bring back vanilla monsters, which in this deck you only really have 4, because it brings back vanilla dragons, and Red Eyes Flare is, of course, a vanilla in the graveyard. Then moving on to our draw cards, we've got our Triple Allure of Darkness. You are playing all darks. Like I said, the only one card that is not dark out of your monster lineup is going to be your White Dragon Wyvern Buster. Other than that, you're sitting on nearly 15 to 20 dark monsters that you don't mind being banished because you're playing your Pot of Acquisitiveness and you're playing your Chaos Space. So you play a lot of high levels as well. So you want to kind of burn through them, burn through the deck, get to the cards you need, and then grow from there. Speaking of draw and search, you've got Chaos Space. Love this card. You get to Foolish Burial any card from your hand, ideally. Technically, they're all lights and darks, so you can Foolish any of these from the hand. It's another way of Foolish Burying Dark Magician if you open it. And then what this allows you to do is this then allows you to get your White Wyvern, because that's 9 times out of 10 what you're going to search. Your White Wyvern can then banish the dart that you've sent to the graveyard, and then you have the ability to start comboing off from there, even if you did brick a little bit within the Red Eyes deck. Not to mention, on top of that, it also gives you recurability by putting a card that can't be normal summoned or set from your banish zone to the bottom of the deck. It then lets you draw a card, so it guarantees you're not going to draw the card you put back. And it's just, I think it's one of the best cards that came out in Toon Chaos, and I really love it. So I made sure I had a playset of Chaos. Then, of course, for the other draw card, we've got the Pot of Acquisitiveness. So you target 3 banished monsters, shuffle them into the deck, and then draw 1 card. So this allows you, especially if you're going to abuse the Malefic Red Eyes kind of play more, this allows you to recycle all the Red Eyes that you're banishing. But if you wanted to play Sacred Sword of 7, because you do play, again, a lot of level 7s, you could do that and recycle what you're banishing. It also means that if you've played Magical Eyes Fusion, you can recycle your materials for Red Eyes Fusion, and the loop goes round. One Call by the Grave, because in the worst case scenario that you only open up a Red Eyes Fusion and you activate the Red Eyes Fusion, you want to make sure you don't get ashed. Because if you get ashed, it sucks. You then set a card pass and probably get OTK'd or put way out of reach for the game. So you do need to protect your cards where at all possible. Call by the Grave is only at 1, which is why we're only allowed to play 1. One for one, of course, your Blackstone of Legend and, of course, your black metal within the deck. The metal is the first card you want to go for. Again, it technically acts like a Foolish Burial by sending any of your red ice cards from your hand to the graveyard. And of course, if you do send a Blackstone of Legend, you do have the ability to recur that a little bit later on as well. So keep in mind, one for one is always going to be utilised. And on top of that, again, not only are you Foolish Burying for your Chaos plays, but you also have the ability to maintain your normal summon. Should you then want to normal summon Blackstone Legend, you've got instant Link 2 fodder that lets you climb up and search out a red ice Darkness Metal. And then Darkness Metal allows you to banish, summon another one. And before you know it, you've got the ability for a very, very easy Link 4, or in this particular deck, Link 3s. Final card is one Boot Sector Launch. This is literally a bit of a brick, purely because all we want to do is make Striker Dragon, search this out for free 100% of the time, and then activate this, and then our Malefic Red Eyes is free whenever we get to it. Of course, if you wanted to search it off of Chaos Space, if you want to get to it by other means, if you want to max out on it, you can do, and that just gives you a free Red Eyes every single turn, which is really nice. And the last trap cards, we've got the one Red Eyes Fang and the one Return of the Red Eyes. So both of these are searchable as they are Red Eyes spells or traps. And if you control a Red Eyes monster except Red Eyes B Chick, you can target one normal monster in your graveyard and special summon it. If this card in your possession is destroyed by an opponent's card effect and sent to the graveyard, you can target one Red Eyes monster in your graveyard except Red Eyes B Chick and special summon it. Only use each effect once per turn. Now the idea is that this is a continuous monster reborn for Red Eyes. Literally, you activate Red Eyes Fusion, you put Red Eyes Black Dragon in the graveyard, you pass your turn, you activate Return of the Red Eyes, you bring back Red Eyes Black Dragon. It is technically an Eternal Soul for Red Eyes, which is what makes it so good. The only downside is that there's no equivalent of Dark Magical Circle, which would be awesome if Red Eyes got, because then if Red Eyes got that, then you wouldn't really mind about activating your Red Eyes Fusion, locking you down from other monsters, because then you get to go, okay, Return of the Red Eyes. So basically put it this way, if Dark Magician had a Red Eyes Fusion for them, that would be perfect. So now all Red Eyes need is a Dark Magical Circle, or some spell or trap or monster effect that when a Red Eyes is summoned, or when a Red Eyes spell or trap is activated, or when a Red Eyes normal monster hits the board, do something to your opponent. That would be awesome. Red Eyes Fang with Chain. Target a Red Eyes monster you control, equipped this card to it. If this card can make up to 2 attacks on monsters during each battle phase. Keep in mind, if you bring back Red Eyes Black Dragon off of the back of your Red Eyes alternative, it's going to be 4,800 attack. So if you then trigger Red Eyes Fang with Chain, your Red Eyes Black Dragon can attack twice at 4,800. You can send this equip card to the graveyard, then target one effect monster on the field. Equip that target to the monster this card was equipped to, and if you do, while a monster is equipped to it by this effect, its attack and defense become equal to the original attack and defense of the equipped monster. So basically, if you've only got a 2,400 Red Eyes, you then want to activate the Red Eyes Fang with Chain, steal one of your opponent's monsters, and boost Red Eyes attack. And that is it for the main deck profile. There are a couple of other cards that you can consider. So shout out to Lord Trent on this one. He was playing around with Draco Connect. And Draco Connect, basically what it will allow you to do is you reveal a dragon monster in your hand. I'm just trying to find it here. Alright, there we go. Dragon Connect. So you reveal one dragon monster in your hand, and you get to add one dragon monster with the same level from your deck. Now, in his profile, he showcased off Heavenly Zephyr, Medora, Tempest Dragon. There was also Dark Arm Dragon, because it's a level 7. And there was Soravis as well, protection from targeting. And then you also have Phantasme. So Phantasme, if we become back into a Link format, is a very nice target to search off your Dragon Connect. It also consistently works with the rest of the deck as well, because it puts your vanilla Red Eyes back into the deck and lets you search out your alternatives, or can search you out your Malefic Red Eyes as well. Other kind of cards you can play around with is Claw of Hermos and the Red Eyes Black Dragon Sword. You've also got your cards of Redstone. Where Art Thou was a little tech that I was playing around with, but hasn't really worked out too much. And the other kind of card you can look at is the Catalyst Field, but that will only help if you want to increase the Gemini consistency and you actually want to play more of the Gemini cards. Moving on to the extra deck, we'll go through the fusions first. So we've got the Borrowed PUREISH Dragon, we've got the Meteor Black Comet Dragon, stupid expensive right now because it's only ever had one print, and one Red Eyes Dark Dragoon. This is your go-to fusion. I'm sorry guys, but this card is so strong, so powerful. It's meta-relevant for a reason. It's gone up to 70 quid. If you are a Red Eyes player or a Dark Magician player and you do not own one of these right now, sorry to say guys, but you really should have. But take nothing away from Meteor Black Comet Dragon. I love this card just as much. So it requires 1 level 7 Red Eyes monster and 1 level 6 Dragon type monster. If it is fusion summoned, you get to send a Red Eyes monster from your hand or deck to the graveyard. Again, additional Foolish Burial. And if you do inflict damage to your opponent equal to half its original attack of that monster. If this card is sent from the monster zone to the graveyard, you can type 1 normal monster in your graveyard and special summon it. So keep in mind, the best thing about this effect is it says if this card is sent. If it is sent from the field to the graveyard. So if you link it off, you then get the effects. So if you were to go, okay, get into this without using Red Eyes Fusion and Verte. Don't know how you're going to do that. But next turn, what you do is you can link this off, go into like any of the link 2s, whatever you want. This will then trigger to bring back the Red Eyes. So if you wanted to, you could play a second one of these. But I think 1 is more than enough. Borderlo PUREISH Dragon is just a massive 3k beater. Requires 2 Dark Dragon monsters, which is pretty much all your entire deck of monsters. And you get a quick effect to target 1 monster you control and 1 card your opponent controls. Destroy them. Banish this card from the graveyard, then type 1 Dark Link monster in your graveyard and special summon it, but it cannot activate its effects this turn. Only use each effect once per turn, so it's a nice target pop. It's like a break sword on a continuous basis. Keep in mind as well, you could also play the Red Eyes Link, but it's not really that effective. For the XYZs, we've got the 1 number 11 Big Eye, the 1 number 7 Harmonizer, and then 2 Red Eyes Flare Metals. Flare Metals is the one that you want to go to more times than not, because you're just, as you can see through all of the cards you're playing in Red Eyes, there's all these little underlying burn effects and burn factors. Not to mention that in this particular deck, this has the ability to detach a material and bring back one of your Red Eyes. So you have the ability to bring back the Red Eyes, overlay, make another one, off you go. And then they're unaffected by your opponent's card effects, or can't be destroyed by your opponent's activated effects. Burn 500. 500 damage once per turn during either player's turn. Detach 1 Xyz from this card. Target a Red Eyes normal monster in your graveyard and special summon it. Again, because it says Red Eyes normal monster, you can bring back your Red Eyes Flare from the graveyard as well, which is beautiful, and it can't be destroyed by card effects while it has material. Big Eye, of course, detach still. Why not? And Harmonizer is a quick effect DV Crow, which is really important in this deck, and specifically with certain formats as well. So it can come in and out, it's entirely up to you. This card's attribute is also treated as each of the attached attributes. So it will be treated as a light and a dark because the materials you're going to use to make this will be dark. It is another light for the graveyard should you get it there for your chaos plays as well. Can't be destroyed by battle with a monster of the same attribute. Also cannot be destroyed by activated effects of your opponent's monster's effects with the same attribute. Quick effect, you can target 1 monster in your opponent's graveyard, detach 1 material from this card, and if you do, attach that target to it as material. So if your opponent is specifically playing like a fire deck or a wind deck or anything like that, you can quick effect, steal that monster, make it the attribute, and then your opponent, if they're trying to attack with all winds or all waters or anything, can't destroy this by battle or card effect. So it's a nice little wall up, and it's a nice little way of getting rid of your opponent's graveyard resource. For the Link monsters, of course, coming off of more so your Black Metal than anything else, you've got your Link Karibo and you've got your Relinquish Anima, pretty standard on that one. Coming off of the back of your Red Eyes, just to make sure you've got an effect monster should you want to go to Verte, is Umduct, and Umduct also triggers itself as a dragon. Beautiful synergy. And then for your Link, the last Link one, of course, you've got your Striker Dragon. Any level 4 or lower Dragon type monster, so rather than going to Link Karibo or this, but you can go into Striker Dragon, gets you your Boot Sector launch, that then unlocks your Malefic Red Eyes plays for the rest of the turn. And of course, this is the Chaos play, like I mentioned. If you do brick a little bit, but you have Chaos space, you get into your Chaos monsters, you make your Chaos play, you go into Striker Dragon, you then banish another one, get into Spheres. Speaking of Spheres, you do play the 1 Hieratic Seal of Heavenly Spheres. Now, at the moment, there is no interactive card you want to be summoning out of the deck. Now, you can use Brotor, you can use the Goliath, which is a very, very nice Floodgate card, and you can also use the Pendulum monster that lets you discard and banish, I believe. I believe it's discard and banish. So you've got a couple of options you can summon off the seals. That then comes down to personal preference and where you want to fit it into the deck. There is a bit of flexibility in the deck, so it does come down to your personal preference. The last Link 2 that you're probably going to be going into more times than not is Verte Anaconda, purely because it allows you to play Red Eyes Fusion without the downside of Red Eyes Fusion. So, very important on that one. And then of course you've got your Nightmare Unicorn, and then you've got your Blackluster Soldier of Chaos. So Unicorn just is a disruptive, but it is a very, very big flex point. And then of course your BLS, because you are playing a lot of level 7s or higher, so sometimes being able to make the BLS Soldier with its protection in play really can stump your opponent, and a lot of opponents struggle to get past it once it has its full protection, and you're just there constantly either boosting it up or getting the ability to attack twice, or constantly non-target banishing cards, which is incredibly important and incredibly powerful. So, with all of that out of the way, I hope you like this video. Like I said, I did try to make this as pure as possible where possible. It was very tricky to do, actually, because if you want it to compete, it's sad enough to say, but Dragon Link is just so strong right now that that is the route you want to go. But if you're adamant and you're like, I only want to play a Red Eyes deck, then of course that's where you want to go. You want to be able to go, right, fine, I need to play a Red Eyes deck. I'm going to only play Red Eyes. This is the way I want to go. But for now, guys, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share. Till next time, as absolutely always, stay safe and happy dueling.